Hi guys, and welcome back. Now you may recall that a few months, maybe even weeks ago, that I published a video called the Podcast Push and suggested this would be an ongoing segment. I haven't followed that up. This is the follow-up. This is part 2. I'd like to pimp out a podcast called the After Midnight Podcast, run by my good friend Denny Lewis. Oh, hi, Denny Louis, as he's better known to most of us. Good man, Canadian man. He, rather surprisingly, sort of dropped a bit of a bombshell a few months ago and started doing this podcast, which I certainly wasn't aware of. Certainly wasn't aware of his interest in this subject. So what is the After Midnight Podcast all about? It's about the unexplained, whether that's the paranormal, mysteries, conspiracies, anything that's, a little bit out there, a little bit wacky. And basically the show, will cover anything. Denny Lewis is the host, and he has a revolving door even, of guests, most of which, I think, or all of which so far have been friends of his. Although as the podcast grows, I'm sure that there will be other guests coming on who have particular interest in this area. Anyway, the show is fairly simple and it's set up. First, it's essentially 3 parts. The first part is a getting to know you section. That's then followed by the meat of the show, which is Denny and the guest each bring on a story or a phenomenon or whatever it may be to discuss. So the middle section is then Denny talking about his topic, and then the final section is the guest talking about their topic. Now with both of those, they essentially set up what it is, what's been going on, any history to do with it, sort of cover the basics of what the story is. They then take a more in-depth look at the thing going on, whatever the mystery may be. They try and break it down as much as possible and try and get to conclusions as to whether it may or may not be true. And then they culminate in essentially saying, is this a story or a video or whatever it may be? Is this something that you would do after midnight? So it's fairly straightforward. It is just a way of essentially raising awareness of the unexplained. Obviously, a lot of these things are unexplained for a reason. And you're never going to get to the complete bottom of these stories. But at the same time, it's intriguing because it has brought up some stories and some video clips and things like this that I wasn't previously aware of. Now, I'm a skeptic mind. I'm not someone who necessarily believes in the paranormal and things like that. So it's not necessarily a podcast I would listen to. However, I would say that even though I'm not a believer, or even a believer, it is an area that kind of fascinates me and interests me. I find these stories intriguing, shall we say. But it's not necessarily something I would seek out. So the fact that obviously it's a good friend of mine doing the show, it sort of introduced me into the area. It's got me listening to some stories that I've not heard before. There's been one or two on previous podcasts which I'm still to this day not entirely sure that I believe. But at the same time, if even a fraction of them was true, it blows my mind a little bit. Let's say that. So yes, paranormal show, mystery show. If that's up your alley, then I would definitely give it a listen. The timing of this video is fairly fitting because I had planned to do this a while ago and just hadn't gotten around to it. But I actually recorded with Denny only a week ago. So, a week ago from when I'm recording this, I don't know when it will be when I upload. But anyway, so yes, we did a show together, which, I'm pretty pleased with. As I say, it's not an area that I am particularly, it's not my forte. And so maybe I do come across a little skeptic, but at the same time, I try to keep an open mind about these things, especially when you're on a show like this and you want to, entertain people, shall we say. So yes, my show will be coming out. I believe it's the first week of October. I want to say October the 6th. I will be pimping that on Twitter. If you don't already follow me on Twitter, I am at Crabble, Carabble. So yes, please do give that one a listen at the very least. And if that interests you, or indeed you are into the paranormal, unexplained, UFOs, whatever, listen to some of the other shows. That in itself might be good anyway, because many of the guests to date are listeners, fans, creators, involved in another podcast that I will be pimping in a few weeks' time. I'm not going to tell you what that is, because obviously that's not how this works. But yes, I would definitely recommend the After Midnight Modcast. Not what it's called. After Midnight Podcast, if you're into that sort of thing. Thank you all for watching, and please let me know if there's any podcasts that I should be listening to, anything that you checking out. Yeah, that's it, pretty much. See you later. Goodbye.